All right, welcome to the Middle of the Road podcast. It's Monday, August 15th. We're going to shoot a second one today.
I'm John Burgess.
I'm Justin Keys.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
This episode, no politics.
Nothing.
Where we're getting off that shit.
We're going to try something a little bit different. So, let's talk about aliens, sailors, and poles. As in North and South poles. Expeditions. Exponentially speaking.
Cool. Let's talk about it. What you got? Where do you want to start?
Where do you want to start? How you feel about aliens?
Oh, they're 100%. They're out there.
They're out there?
Yeah. There's no way you can convince me otherwise. It's impossible. Because you can't sit there and tell me there's... And, of course, I know my number's not right. But there's 40 billion galaxies out there. There's hundreds of other planets that are within the same proximity of their star, blah, 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 just like Earth. You can't tell me that there's not something out there. Now, whether or not they're advanced, or we're the advanced ones, I don't know that. But all the videos you see that show pictures of any aliens, and we look like the advanced ones. They look like they're still evolving from some creature that was on their planet. But...
I mean, historically speaking, wherever it came from, because I firmly believe there's interdimensional just as much as there's extraterrestrial. I'll throw you some crazy theories about our own planet that nobody really talks about. But I feel like if I was of an advanced culture that was capable of space travel, I would just lock my doors when I came past Earth.
Yeah, Earth is the hood. There is no doubt about that. And if there's 0.000.1% chance that anybody that will ever hear this podcast from another world. But please, don't come here. We will kill you. We will shoot you.
We won't shoot you.
We will. We shoot everything. Have you seen Independence Day?
We will call you an issue of national security. We will lock you up on the 57th floor of a basement. The only person you will talk to will be the head of the DOD. And a weird scientist guy who wants to put things in any kind of opening you might have. Don't come here and think you're going to land on a mountaintop in 2022.
If you come here, Earth, be prepared to take over, because that's the only way you're getting out of here without getting shot. And even still, that's not guaranteed.
Having said that, historically speaking, and nobody likes to put the Bible in with history, they were seeing some advanced things back in the day. I mean, Ezekiel's temple looks a lot like a landing pad. They covered that on that History Channel one that was like season 1 of what's that show? Aliens, Earth Aliens, or
Ancient Aliens.
Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, man, that was good stuff. That was good stuff. And there's no, there's no doubt in my mind that when ancient people saw what we now call today Jesus or whatever, they thought that guy was an alien. When you see things you don't know as a simple-minded civilization, which you can go all the way back to cavemen. I got cavemen drawings here that depict creatures that don't look human. So, if someone flies over top of you and No, I don't want to see any notifications from you. Flies over top of you and says, hey, I got... here's how I want you to live. And you're going to be like, dang, yeah, that's what's up. See, this website did give me a little trouble last time. But there's no way that anyone's going to be able to convince me that we use simple tools such as wedges and things like this to build these awesome pyramids that you couldn't fit a piece of paper in between the cracks of a several 1,000-year-old structure. Like today, with cranes and architects, they can't mimic this. They've tried this. You can't do it.
You're right.
So how does what you would call simple people...
Now look me in the eye and tell me they put that kind of effort into building a grave.
Right. And it's and these things, these ancient structures that are built better than anything we have today are specifically on these latitude, longitude points. Like, it's weird how it for a grave. This could be some ancient weapon. What if it's a weapon?
I believe they're power structures. By the time I force you to sit through me talking about Tartarian empires and resets, we'll get there one day. But I believe they were power structures. And even the Bible even says that when they left Egypt with the ark, they took with them the source of power.
Right.
I believe it was some kind of... There's pictures of Egyptians with light bulbs.
See, this is what I was telling you about right here, where it gives you a little problem trying to find the story, cutting off half the story, and I can't figure out how to...
Here's what I'm going to do. Most people, Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura, they fell off at reptilians. I'm going to start there.
All right, go right ahead, and while you start there, I will see if I can...
Missouri has had several encounters with reptilians. Reptilians in general. So
okay, we're not talking aliens in general. You're talking a specific type of extraterrestrial. Okay,
yeah, reptilians. Okay, now, in every occasion, they live underground. Now, that. So when people talk about reptilian aliens, there's a lot of reports that back that specific kind of being.
Okay. You're talking about reputable encounters.
But there's actually been
this guy. Missouri is also the -- state for meth. Are we sure that
these reports are over the meth?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler had meth.
Okay, well. You know what?
Are you sure?
Because meth hit here in like 2010 or 2005, something like that.
I don't know. I think the Hells Angels might have had it in the 80s because those dudes were mad.
I'm looking for a specific, but you're not going to find a newspaper article.
No. You're on some what's going to be considered an extreme website or whatever. Yeah.
But there's been more. This reports happen in more than one place, and I can never find it when I need to in a hurry. But it consists of some Navy SEALs. They got called out because there were reports of a strange animal or being or creature, and by the time it's over, by the time it's over, like one of them got out with his life.
One of the Navy SEALs?
Yeah. The point is that underground, okay? Now, that doesn't get fun until you look at... This is a whole phenomenon on itself. Disappearances near caves. There's actual map pictures of... There's a Netflix series called The Hunted, I believe it's called. Here we go. Check this out. This is a map of the caves. And is this the map? This is the map of the disappearances. Yeah. This is the missing 411 maps. This is the map of the caves. This is the map of people that went missing. People go missing near caves. You gotta watch Missing 411. It was on Netflix. And it's interesting as hell. And it's about hunters.
If it's off Netflix, it'll be on YouTube.
Yeah,
so.
it's about hunters and they go and professional outdoorsmen. This is such a good show. But people keep going missing, and a lot of them that go missing near rocks.
I
hate these pop-ups.
Me too. Sometimes I almost want to pay for some service.
No.
Some security service just to avoid the pop-ups.
I already pay for internet.
No, I mean, something to block the pop-ups.
I like how they're trying to consider internet like a public right, like it should be free. Not water.
It should be.
Not water, not electricity to keep your house warm, but internet. We skipped right to internet.
Yeah, because we need it. It should be a utility. I agree.
Right.
I think it should be regulated like that.
All right,
and it's not.
So I just threw out some shit about people going missing, cave systems.
Right.
And that all sounds crazy. So now, let's dive in. Who's Admiral Byrd? Do you know who Admiral Byrd is?
No, not right off the top of my head. You start talking about him, I probably heard of him.
Admiral Byrd was an explorer. He was responsible for Operation High Jump. Which was in the 1940s.
I just saw it on there on your files.
Now, in the 1940s, he was sent first aircraft carrier. How cool was that? They let him drive the first aircraft carrier.
Heck yeah.
So he was the first one to explore Antarctica.
Okay.
And he actually found a place. Let's see if I can skibby down to it real fast. He actually found a place that they called Byrd's Passage and set up an area called Little America. And it's still today the main base.
Yeah, Little America 4. Headquarters for Byrd and his 6 RF-4Ds.
What did I miss?
It's back down. Go back down to the next paragraph. Right there. Upon reaching the Ross Ice Shelf, the central group ships would disgorge the small aircraft, ice vehicles, supply tents, and sled dogs. Yeah. Then the men would move inland to establish Little America 4. Headquarters for Byrd and his 6 R-4Ds. Which is that plane right there, I believe. Right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
This guy is solely responsible for being the guy who went down and explored Antarctica. Let's listen to Admiral Byrd talk about what he's seen in his own words.
We're going to take a listen to Admiral Byrd describing lands beyond Antarctica that seem to be consistent more with the flat Earth theory and some flat Earth maps. There was
I do not believe in flat Earth.
Maps that was
discovered.
But could there be extra property
but let's take a listen.
on planet Earth they just don't talk about?
It's time, Gene. Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope? Larry Lasser, CBS News correspondent, and Kenneth Crawford, National Affairs editor of Newsweek magazine. Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd. The North Pole used to be a no man's land, but these are the days when, by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. You know, only 60 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Well, Admiral, would you say that since you've been to both the extremities of Earth, are these expeditions to such far-off places, are they getting easier because of modern techniques, or is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow planes and the small cruising radius where we had to put down bases. We replaced the dog teams, and of course that was a big improvement. But now the planes go much faster and they're safer, and they have a much bigger cruising radius. You haven't got the danger of a terribly heavy load.
Admiral, an expedition to which I believe you're the advisor is now en route. What is that expedition doing?
Well, that's the icebreaker Atka, and it's a reconnaissance expedition. It's going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral Byrd, I can understand, I think everybody can, the interest in the North Pole, because it's so near our greatest challenger, Soviet Russia. But why this interest in the bottom of the world? Nobody living down there, is there?
No, it's pretty cold. There's only one permanent resident, that's the emperor penguin. The little ones live further north. I tell you one reason they're interested. It's by far the most valuable, important place left in the world for science. That's why the scientific groups all over the nation are really interested. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime. Because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources. And, as the world swings with an ever-increasing acceleration, far-flung places, once useless like we thought the North Pole was, and no man's land, become very useful. The bottom of the world will be important, not only to us, but to our allies.
I was going to ask you, does it have military importance?
It has some, and as the world shrinks, it will continue to shrink with an ever-increasing acceleration, thus bringing these places closer. And in the future, I can see a time when it will be very, very important strategically.
Well, has development of air power increased the strategic importance of places like the
very much so.
Palma Peninsula, was it?
Very much so. Even now, if anything happened and we lost the Panama Canal, we would have to control the islands just north of Antarctica, which are part of Antarctica.
So, he was the explorer.
Yeah, without watching the rest of that video, and this is 1940s. Yeah, in the 40s. So you can only imagine what's happened in the past 70 years down there.
Right.
It's hard to tell, but
Right.
he's right. You know, and if you know anything about how airlines fly and things like that, you know, you don't just fly directly from one destination to the other. You use the curvature of the Earth, and I can see how, if you follow certain curvatures, that would be a very strategic point.
Right. Now, Friday, February, March of 1947, he wrote this diary. Don't start reading it yet. I'm going to edit out the silence parts. I'll probably edit out where I just said that. But you know what? I'm going to let you read this and just kind of let you enjoy a little blind react from you. This is his diary for going to the North Pole.
Okay. So
Okay?
you just want me to read it?
I just want you to read it. You don't have to read it out loud. This is Into the Light .news. Okay? And if you type in Admiral Byrd's diary into a search engine, you'll get this. In the future, I'm going to learn to put the sites.
Yeah,
I recommend you research Admiral Byrd's diary. You can read aloud if you want. I'll take turns with you. It's a page and a half or so.
Alright, well, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, we can read it out
I'll
loud.
tell you what, I'll
right.
start.
Go ahead.
So, February, March 1947. The exploration flight over the North Pole, the Inner Earth, my secret diary. Now, again, this man retired with collars. Huh?
Well, you don't retire an admiral without.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't get fired.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want you to know, he wrote this and came back and didn't get fired. He kept his job.
Well, that's great.
Well, no, he wrote this later. He came back and gave this report to his officials.
This is still his diary on the
And he
day
didn't
that
get
everything took place.
Yeah.
So,
I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. Now, before I go any further, back then pilots wrote diaries. They didn't have black boxes and such.
Right.
They kept logs. I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. It concerns my Arctic flight of the 19th day in February. In the year of 1947, there comes a time when rationality of men must fade into insignificance and one must accept the inevitability of truth. I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing. Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny. But I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. In a world of greed and exploitation of certain mankind can no longer suppress that which is truth. Flight log, Base Camp Arctic, 2/19/1947. Now this is after high jump. They sent him up to explore the North Pole. No, I'm sorry. Right? When was the other operation on? Yeah, same year. They sent him straight down to the. After this, they sent him straight to the South Pole. Could it be both sides of the same? Flight log, Base Camp Arctic, 2/19/1947. 0600 hours. Oh my God, it's early. All preparations are complete for our flight northward, and we are airborne with fuel tanks at 0610. At 0620, fuel mixture on starboard engine seems too rich. Adjustment made, and Pratt Whitney's are running smoothly. He loved that new plane. He was talking about it in the interview. He loved them new planes. 0620 fuel mixture. Okay. 0730 radio check with base camp. All is well and radio reception normal. 0740 note slight oil leak on starboard engine. Oil pressure indicator seems normal. However, 0800 slight turbulence noted from eastern directly at altitude of 2,031 feet. Correction to 1,700 feet. No further turbulence, but tailwind increases. Slight adjustment in throttle control. Aircraft performing very well now. 8:15 radio check with base camp. Situation normal. 0830 turbulence encountered again. Turbulence encountered again. Increased altitude to 2,900 feet. Smooth flight conditions again. Just flying over ice.
Right.
0910. Fast ice and snow below. Note coloration of yellowish nature and dispersion in a linear pattern. Altering course for a better examination of this color pattern below. Note reddish or purple colors also. Circle this area 2 full turns and return to assigned compass heading. Position checkmate again to base camp and relay information concerning colorations in the ice and snow below. 0910.
There's a second
Yep.
entry at
Both
that time.
magnetic, second 0910. Both magnetic and gyro compasses beginning to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading instrumentation. Take bearing with sun compass, yet all seems well. The controls are seemingly slow to respond and have sluggish quality. There is no indication of icing. 0915. In the distance is what appears to be mountains. You know what, John? Why don't you take it from that one?
All right. 0949, 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion. They are mountains and are consisting of a small range that I have never seen before. 0955, altitude changed to 2950, and encountering strong turbulence again. 1000 hours. We are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth. AKA, their instruments are not working. 10 left turn, and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp.
What are you thinking?
Like, this is unreal. Like, how is no one...
Little technical difficulty. We're back. So, Admiral Byrd's diary. At 10:30 hours, we're encountering more rolling green hills now. External temperature reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Where are they, John?
This is in the Arctic.
This is in the North Pole. Continuing on our heading now, navigation seems normal. I'm puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning. Countryside below is more level and normal, if I use that word. Ahead we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God, off our port and starboard are strange types of aircraft. They are closing alongside rapidly. They are disc-shaped, have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough to see the markings on them as a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Remember, this is before World War II.
Yeah.
The swastika was once a symbol of the Tartarian Empire. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug the controls. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type.
And they're still flying. They're still buoyant. They're still floating.
At 11:35 hours, our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what perhaps to be a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. Now, I'm going to not go off on a tangent, but if you know your Viking folklore, it could claim that the Vikings, when they were being ran out of, St. Valentine ran the snakes out of Ireland and Norway and all
Right.
that, they claimed they went north and into the earth. Nobody really ever thinks about that. But so Our radio crackles. Yeah. The engines on our planes have stopped. We're under some kind of strange control.
No.
Oh,
You need
wait.
to back up. 11:35 hours. That's where you were.
Oh, yeah.
The slight Nordic and Germanic accent.
Oh, yeah. The message
Yep,
is,
yep.
Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes.
Welcome, Admiral. They know this guy.
Yeah, relax, Admiral. You're in good hands. I note the engines of our planes have stopped running. The aircraft is under some kind of strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. At 10:40 hours, another radio message.
11:40.
Oh, 11:40. I'm sorry.
No, but it's all good.
We begin 11:40 hours. We begin to land process now, and in moments the plane shudders slightly as it descends through and begins a descent as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible, and we touch down only with a slight jolt.
So softer than they would normally land.
Yeah. At 11:45, I'm making a hasty last entry in the flight log. Several men are approaching on foot toward our craft. Tall with blonde hair in the distance is a large shimmering city pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those approaching, and I hear a voice ordering me by my name to open the cargo door. I comply. End log.
Wow.
This is the gentleman you were just
And
watching.
this is after. This is whew. And then from that point on, there's no more.
Well,
There's nothing else in the diary.
Oh no! You can continue whenever you like, John.
Oh, all right. If you want me to.
You can continue whenever you
From
like.
From this point, I write all the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft, and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves us towards the glowing city with great swiftness. As we approach, the city seems to be made of a crystal material. Soon we arrive at a large building that is a type I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. We were given some type of warm beverage which tasted like nothing I had ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, two of our wondrous appearing hosts came to our quarters and announced that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radio man behind, and we walk a short distance and enter into what seems to be an elevator. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops, and the door lifts silently upward. We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by a rose-colored light that seems to be emanating from the very walls themselves. Dude, is this guy describing Men in Black like 50 years before Men in Black? The elevator that moves swiftly, like, bro.
Well, I'm gonna
see.
blow your mind. So
where was
one of
I
the
at?
beings motions for us to stop before a great door. Over the door is inscriptions that I cannot read. The great door slides noiselessly open, and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. Have no fear, Admiral. You are to have an audience with the master. I step inside and my eyes adjust to beautiful coloration that seems to be filling the room completely. Then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes was the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is in fact too beautiful and wondrous to describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any deal with justice. My thoughts are interrupted in a cordial manner with a warm, rich voice, melodious quality. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. After I'm seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following. Now this is where it gets scary. We have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known to the surface world, Admiral. Surface world, I gasped under my breath. Yes, the master replies with a smile. The Admiral Byrd guy you were hearing a few minutes ago wrote this down. You are in a domain of Ariana, the inner world of Earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Wait a minute. How was he summoned there? How did they get... There's a connection there to the upper world and military missions. There's a way they managed to get him there.
Yeah.
Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima. Yeah, if you got neighbors downstairs and didn't know it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that time alarming. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Flugerals, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral. Remember the Foo Fighters?
This is just a couple years prior.
Yeah, but I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity. But now we must, because you have learned to tamper with certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of the world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witness that our world does exist, you see. Our culture, our science is many thousand years beyond your race, Admiral. I interrupted. What does that have to do with me, sir?
Let me take it over from here.
Go ahead.
The master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments, he replied, Your race has now reached the point of no return, for there are those among you who would destroy the very world rather than relinquish their power as they know it. I nodded, and the master continued, In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but your efforts were met with hostility. Our flugel rods were fired upon, yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now, I say to you, my son, there is great storm gathering in your world. A black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled, and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude to what is yet to come for your race. We have seen it more clearly with each hour. Do you say I am mistaken? No, I answer. It happened once before. The Dark Ages came and they lasted for more than 500 years. Yes, my son, replied the master. The Dark Ages will come now for your race and will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come forward and again revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and its strife. And after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned to your race to begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message.
See?
Holy shit.
Now, to cut
And you could
short,
literally...
after that, he was taken back to his plane, and he was led out past the opening, and he radioed 250 by 2:15. He was radioing his base camp and getting an answer. That's the story of Admiral Byrd. I know it was a long one.
It was, but if I can kind of branch off of that real quick, well, maybe not real quick, but still sticking with this idea. If you don't have any idea of any alien technology at all, you think that human beings are you're not, you have no idea. This man just went up there and spoke to God. the way he referred to him as the master insinuates that as a human being, you knew you were talking to someone far superior. And you respected him as the master, because he kept saying that.
Were people on Earth, other people? He said he had already talked to other governments of the world. Could he have already talked to Germany? And that's how Germany built the bell?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but if you remember...
This is where it gets fun, because every country, you ready? Here's Germany. Here's Germany again. Here's Project 1794. America's secret saucer development. Every country was trying to build flying saucers in the 1940s.
Yeah, exactly. And in the 1940s, there was that boom. Like, there was a lot. Hell, Roswell happened in 51, 52. That was a big year. That was a big time for the explosion of technology in that field. So yeah, you saw a lot of things flying through the air that you had no idea. And 99% of the time, the government just explained it away as you were just crazy. But as time goes on, people realize that some of these were real encounters, Like this one I'm getting ready to talk about here in just a moment. Like, this one's pretty interesting.
Go ahead.
So, have you ever heard of Commander David Fravor?
Yes. Is this the... Well, this is sightings in 2004. Is this the U.S. Navy footage?
Yes. Yes, it is. And it's very interesting. This was captured by an FA-18 Super Hornet. And it was pursued. And if I can find some volume over here. It might be my computer, I don't know.
They had the congressional hearing. On... What do they call them now?
In 2004, off the coast of California, an F-18 Super Hornet training exercise was suddenly interrupted by a call over the radio that would come to define Commander David Fravor's career.
There's certain things in your life where you just remember in vivid detail what happened. And that's one of them, because it's honestly the strangest, most obscure thing I've ever seen flying.
Fravor, the commanding officer of the Navy's Strike Fighter Squadron 41, and another F-18 scrambled to check out an unusual radar blip 80 miles off the coast.
So as we're looking around, the backseater in the other airplane comes up and says, "Hey, Skipper, do you see..." And before he says it, I'm like, "Dude, do you see that?" As soon as we look down, we see the whitewater, and then we see this little white tic-tac. It's pointing north-south, and it's just going forward, back, left, right.
It's just bouncing around?
Yeah, like a ping pong ball.
What was its shape? What was its... what did it look like it was made out of?
Like a perfectly smooth, white tic-tac. Or for people that need a bigger visualization, a giant propane tank.
Fravor says the F-18s began circling, Fravor at 20,000 feet, and the so-called tic-tac only about 50 feet above the surface of the water.
And I say, "Hey, I'm going to go check this thing out." And the other pilot stays and says, "Hey, I'm going to stay up high." And then it starts coming up at us. We call it two-circle fight, but it's coming up, I'm coming down. So it literally is aware we're there. There's no doubt, because it mirrored me. So here it is. I cut across, and I get to about half mile of it. So I'm about halfway across the circle. So it gets in front of me, and it just goes poof, and it's gone. And it's gone like that fast.
What do you mean, poof, it's gone?
I mean exactly that. Like, it's 1 minute it's there, and the next second, it's like magic trick. So I asked the other airplane, I said, "Hey, do you guys see that?" And they're like, "It's gone. It just disappeared."
When you saw this kind of performance, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
What the hell was that?
Once back on the carrier, Fravor's team told the next crew what had happened, and that crew took off ready to capture something on camera. And this is what they saw. I guess the biggest question is, what do you think it is?
I honestly don't know. I don't think that we have developed that technology. I don't think we developed it on this planet. We still, to this day, have no idea what it was, what we saw, what we chased, what we engaged. But it was pretty spectacular.
A report from that incident eventually made its way to the Pentagon and crossed the desk of Luis Elizondo, the former director of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
In essence, what that program was an investigatory body looking at what we call the UAP, probably in the vernacular, it's better known as the UFO phenomenon. The bottom line here is that over the past several decades, we in the Department of Defense and the intelligence community have been noticing things in our airspace that don't have wings, they don't have cockpits, they don't have even an obvious sign of propulsion like an engine, and yet still they're able to defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity.
In 2020, the Pentagon declassified 3 videos, the Tic Tac video and 2 others filmed on the East Coast in January of 2015.
So just as, like, we're not going to sit here and watch this whole video or
we
nothing,
can do that all
but
day.
no obvious signs of propulsion, yet still defied Earth's gravity. Like, there's a part in this video where he says that Tic Tac object went from sea level to 20,000 feet in a blink of an eye.
Right.
Straight vertical.
But we've been watching Unsolved Mysteries since we were kids.
True. Well,
Okay,
we stopped
so-
watching it years ago because it, But yeah, I get your point.
We got older and we got Prime and it's on Hulu and
Right.
I
That's
don't think
true.
it's on Hulu, but
That's
it's on
not
one of them downloaded sites.
It's one of them streaming sites
The
that we
new
pay for and
episodes-
don't
the
watch.
new episodes aren't any fun. I don't like the other guy.
Yeah. The old guy scared the shit out of you.
Oh yeah, all he had to do was say ghosts. But no, we've watched these things go underwater. We've watched these things take off in different directions. We've watched these things. We've been doing it for years.
And, if you go 100% science, nothing else considered, 100% science,
Right.
this is a more feasible option. Aliens and other worldly objects and creatures is a far more feasible answer than these religious, is prophet the right word? These religious spiritual figures, or whatever the word is, without saying each of their names, because there's several different religions and they all have different names. So without upsetting anybody, we're just going to umbrella it all. All the religions. It's much more believable
Well, it's not that it's
when you look at the science, because religion is strictly based off of faith and
if
pretends. No, that's the wrong word. Sorry,
okay,
that's the wrong
even
word.
if God comes down here right now, the people who choose not to follow him are going to consider him alien. I mean, that's how that's going to function. The King of France gets off the boat in France, and everybody hits their kneecaps. He's the King of France. He gets off the boat in America.
Let me stop you there.
Get all that respect.
Before you get too far on that, let me stop you there. You, as someone who was raised in a very, very, very religious household, I know more about some of these stories than the average Joe, unless they go to church and they study the Bible. I know more than the average Joe. And what I can tell you is that you just compared God to the King of France. If God comes back here the way it's described in the Bible, every non-believer will be on his knees crying and begging for mercy. His presence is that powerful.
Right.
Supposedly. This is just in what the Bible says. His presence alone is that powerful that believers and non-believers alike will flock to his something like that. So you can't really compare those two.
It's pretty intent on
unless he comes
his
back.
Believers being murdered up until he finally gets fed up and comes back.
Well, there's been more bloodshed in the name of God, a la Muhammad,
Religion and
whatever those whatever, your religion. I'm talking all of them.
I think that would be a conversation for a different day, because we can go into the conversation about the church taking power in the 1700s. The Catholic Church is...
They're shady. That's what the Crusades
They were the
were.
first ones to build a wall.
The Crusades were literally that. We're Catholic, and we're tired of living on this little freaking island. We want some more property. Let's go invade those guys over there. And those guys over there were like, yo, fuck off.
How are we going to get these people to kill those guys over there?
Right.
Tell them that their God
Tell them
wants
Jesus.
to be dead.
And I can imagine this being an exact conversation. Of course, you got to throw in some thou arts and shit, or however they spoke back then, but
You know,
you got to convince
Not
this
to go
guy
too
to
far
kill
off,
in the
but
name of somebody that is, at this point, a carpenter.
that's
You know,
what
you're gonna
happened
die
way
for that
back
guy.
then. No, that's what happened way back then, though. It wasn't about Jesus. The Catholic Church.
It's about control.
The Catholic Church said, "Hey, God gives you your power. Therefore, I am your counsel with God. You will listen to my orders." Now, you got to kill those guys over there.
What better
And
way?
those guys over there too.
What? Yeah. And after you're done, I'm gonna need you to go and kill those.
The other side of those guys, there's some other guys.
Yeah, you should probably take those out too.
Yeah.
Just matter of fact, just keep going until we call you back.
Call them snakes. Just run them out of Ireland.
Yeah.
And they, according to Slavics, they ran into this middle of the earth.
You know, I mean, it's.
But anyway.
Yeah, we got off on a tear there.
So you end up, that's where Admiral Byrd ended up. Was in the middle of the earth. So
yeah, and so back real quick on this David Fravor though. This is a recent. Well, the encounter was in 2004, and he retired from the military in 2010. And if you listen to the whole interview, you got some time. Listen to the whole interview with Joe Rogan, and he interviews him for almost 3 hours. And he tells him that for 7, 8, 9 years, people were begging him to tell the story. And he's like, no. And then, for some reason, he just started talking. But for almost 10 years, he kept the shit to himself. Because he was a military man. He was committed. You know what I mean? But it was crazy. And there's so many more stories like that. So your story, Admiral Byrd, is in the 40s. And this is in 2004. You're talking 60 years difference.
Well, I mean,
and we're still talking about the same...
We've been trying to build flying saucers since the 1940s, with or without a representation of a creature called an alien. Just possible, not possible. We've been trying, the U.S. government has been trying to build things since the 1940s. And Admiral Byrd claimed he was in contact with said things in the 1940s in the middle of the earth. So we're at least trying to mimic that technology.
There was... I'll have to find it, and maybe we can revisit this topic, and I'll be a little bit more prepared.
And where does this fall in? I know you hate Wikipedia, but this was the shortest, most to-the-point article.
Well, as long as you use Wikipedia as your starting point, and you don't use it as your source. You know what I mean?
It's... I needed something short, sweet, readable.
Okay, show me what you got.
Take you half an hour to get into. The Black Knight satellite is one of the oldest conspiracy theories on the planet. This structure has been known to come down and lower and go back up, and it's just rotating plainly around Earth. This picture was taken in 1998. They called it space debris, but it's there's lots of pictures. Like if you just get onto YouTube and type in Black Knight satellite, you'll get, this is one of the oldest conspiracy theories. There's lots of pictures of it. But they claim that it's been up there for a lot of years. Some people claim it was an early CIA space program that nobody wanted to talk about. But, ooh yeah, Psychics at Area 51. It's a fun one. Bob Lazar.
This is my dude right here. When you want to talk about some alien shit, this is the man right here. So he got recruited when he was 17 years old because he put a jet rocket on the back of his Honda Civic. And he does this interview where he tells you all about it. This guy is the motherfucking man. You know what I'm saying? But him and a group of people just like him. And just because between your story and my story, we've done a lot of playing videos. I'm not going to go into that. But we can dig into this if we continue the subject on another day. But this guy worked amongst a team. It was 10 physicists split up into 2 groups of 5. 5 worked 12-hour days. 5 worked 12-hour nights. 24 hours these 10 physicists worked to reverse engineer an engine that they found in the desert among a UFO crash. Okay? For 4 years, these physicists could not figure this out. They reverse engineered to a point where they could not get any further. So he goes on and he makes his own hypothetical decision that the only way these engines work is to warp gravity in some way. So basically, the only way to do that is with a pulse that can only be generated by a nuclear explosion. So these engines, no bigger than the size of a table, are generating nuclear pulses so they can warp gravity. And that's how these spaceships can fly millions of space miles in, warp speed, like what we used to know as Star Trek. Warp speed. They warp gravity. And he talks all about it. This is somebody you should look into when you're fucking around this week.
I will, man.
This is awesome. Right.
Dude,
when I used to work for the state, man, I would drive 1,400 miles a week. Every Monday through Friday. 1,400 miles. And, man, that's all I did was listen to podcasts. And Joe Rogan was my dude. But his interview with Bob Lazar was very, very interesting. But he'd tell you at the very beginning of his story, he's like, they recruited me because I put a rocket on the back of my Honda Civic.
Kaku, Dr. Kaku from CERN. He's a theoretical... we could do a whole episode on CERN, and we will. He's a theoretical physicist.
Yeah.
This man talks about...
Yeah. I follow this guy on TikTok. I swear, he's on TikTok.
Yeah.
This guy's awesome as shit.
Interdimensional travel.
Yeah. Dude, he's like the real-life Sheldon Cooper. He's like a theoretical physicist or some shit.
Things don't have to come from space.
No. We're talking about aliens.
Yeah.
We're not talking about necessarily space aliens.
Yeah.
Or they could it's a very logical theory and possibilities. If you can travel through space at billions and millions of miles an hour, you can warp gravity fields to appear like you're not there. If they're living here among us, like the way Admiral Byrd describes, they have their own world up above the Arctic Circle. There's somehow, some way, us simple-minded, stupid humans, as smart as we think we are, we can't see them. They're chilling. They have warped our gravity fields to where we can't see them. And now we have been taught all of our lives that the Earth is round and everything's been explored and there's nothing up there.
Or
So the
it
only way
sounded a little bit like, and this might just be Justin logic.
well, you know, it has a way of coming
It
around.
sounded
sometimes.
a little bit like they were trying to get in contact with us, but the world elite weren't telling us.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded a lot like they were like, you know what? We talked to the kings, and look, maybe you can get the word out.
Yeah, but you know,
Like it, they didn't.
we read it, and when we read Admiral Byrd's diary there, we read it. They said they have attempted to make contact, and we shoot at them. Like he said, well, you shot at our ships every time we send our what was it, the Fluger?
Yeah.
You shot at our ships.
Which would be the Foo Fighters in World War II.
Right, so it's like, no wonder. If they ever do come around, they're going to come around because it's time for us to go. We've destroyed the planet enough.
There was a weird, tall Slavic guy.
With superhuman strength or some
Yeah.
shit.
What the heck?
Right, and then, yeah, this Dr. Kaku
Yeah,
dude,
I spelled it wrong. Let me get it back up.
yeah, but still, you got the results you were looking for.
Yeah.
And there's this lady that I follow, and she's a doctor at CERN, and she gets on TikTok sometimes. And
What do you think about CERN?
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think that there should be no limits to science, no matter what you call it. And you know, I understand the God's particle. They're trying to mimic this. I get all that. But like I said, religion to me is not something
It's
sacred.
not about religion.
So I
to
think
me.
everything should be questioned.
You know, if
You know.
if this is a conspiracy theory for a different hour and a half, if they are messing with interdimensional portals or tears or anything of that nature, we should know. That's how the mist happened. I'm not really trying to be as funny as that sounds,
But
but
you're not going to. You know, the thing is, like, the only reference to that I have in my head that for some reason I've always kept in my head.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, well, that's a great one. But no, like, the best way to think about this is when we found out about the stealth Blackbird plane that we had, when we found out about it, the technology was 60 years old. Like, our government is researching and doing some shady shit behind closed doors. You know they are. Which is exactly how they get a $20,000 hammer. Because they get $2 for the hammer, and then the rest of it goes into the little black fund.
When you come
Like,
to me and
let's-
tell me you made a plane that goes so fast it can't have a gun because it will run back
Outrun the
into
bullets.
bullet,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
When you come to me and tell me, hey, we're going to start opening random interdimensional portals.
Yeah. So have you seen the Lightyear? Have you seen the movie Lightyear yet?
No.
It's pretty decent. It's a pretty decent movie. Which there's a big up in arms thing about a supposed gay scene that's in the movie. And me and my daughter and Brandy, we sat there and watched it last night, and it's insane, dude. It's insane what they're talking about. Like, this is Lightyear, and the movie's based, it's like 2300 way in the future. It's a female couple, and they have a kid. And the one female is on the way to work and kisses the other female on the cheek and says, "Have a good day, honey." That's the gay scene that everybody was so upset about. I was like, who fucking cares? That's insane. Like, how is people so upset about that? But anyway, back to my point of bringing this movie up. Lightyear, the movie Lightyear, is the movie that Andy, the boy in Toy Story, the actual boy, that's the movie he watched as a kid. That's why Buzz Lightyear was one of his toys in the toy box. Because Buzz Lightyear was an action figure based off of a movie that he watched. This was that movie. That's what Lightyear is. It's the movie Andy watched.
Disney is a genius.
Yeah, it's freaking great. But it was actually a good movie, man. Like, Lightyear's crew gets stranded on an Earth-like planet. And they're stranded there for years trying to find a new fuel source so they can reach hyperspeed. Okay? They find this new fuel source, and Buzz Lightyear's job is to test it, to get a stable source. Every time he reaches hyperspeed, he goes around this other planet and comes back to this planet just to test the hyperspeed. Every time he does that, he doesn't age, but the people on his planet age 4 years. So every time he does it, he comes back, 4 years goes by. And dude, he does this test 20 fucking times trying to find the right fuel source. And everybody in his life ages. So where you're talking about warp speed, you know, when you achieve that level of warp speed, like, you on the spaceship, while you're in warp speed, you're basically ageless. Because you're going so fast, you're outrunning time on these planets.
What's that movie with Matthew McConaughey? Interstellar?
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
Wow.
Which is the reason why when you see any movie about deep space travel, you see a pilot, crew, whatever, and everybody else is in some kind of deep sleep. You know, because you can't just travel through space and age, and then when you get there, everybody's old. All your scientists are getting ready to die because everybody's 80.
Have you heard the conspiracy theory that they're going to fake an alien invasion?
No, because one, summertime, spring and summer are my absolute favorite time of the years, and I don't sit at home. I haven't even picked up my PlayStation joystick in 6 months, but it's coming.
Oh no, this is old.
Come October 31st, I'm stuck in the house because it's cold, so I don't go outside. So, you know, I'll have all kinds of time to start researching shit that you send me. But right now, no, I have not had a chance to look into anything because I'm outside playing golf or fishing, and now we're doing this on Mondays, and I'm kind of busy, you know. So no, I haven't really dug into any kind of conspiracy theories except the ones that you kind of know.
Alien abduction. I was up late last night reading these, and I gotta tell you, it didn't help me go to sleep at all.
Man, my girlfriend just started recently, just out of the blue, just became scared of some ghost. She thinks there's a ghost in the house.
Maybe there is.
Like, no, man. She went on Amazon and bought a cleansing kit with some sage and a turkey feather and like some other weird stuff. And she lit the sage and tried to like cleanse our room. I'm like, hey, you do you. Because if there is a ghost in our room, I'm just going to ask him to sit down and chill and hang out. He's not going to bother you. I don't care. I don't get spooked by that shit.
I don't believe my house is haunted, but I've had odd happenings in my home that I can't. Good example. Joni. Poor girl calls me one day. We had been together she had been living here about a month. And she calls me at work, and she's freaking out. She kept hearing this ringing. She couldn't figure out what it was. She went in the back of the closet, and in the back of the closet was an old broken phone. The old broken phone, like shoved up in a corner somewhere in a bag that I'd forgotten about. And the alarm was going off. Reagan.
See, that's something that can be explained. To me, that's explainable.
My daughter, well, we heard weird voices. When I was still together with Tristan, we heard weird voices over the baby monitor. No, it's not a constant thing here, but there's been some...
And look, I can't sit here, I'm not going to sit here and discount anybody, you know, but to me, at my house, I know what she's talking about, because I have felt the same thing. I know what she's talking about, because we sleep, I teach my family that we sleep with our doors closed. Everybody's bedroom door is closed. Number one, that's the best way to protect yourself in case of a fire. Number two, it's the best way to protect yourself in a home invasion. You have extra layers of protection between you and the front door.
Absolutely.
This is just my plan. And then, of course, weapons are available. Not to get off of the subject. We sleep with our door closed. So sometimes when I'm laying there asleep, it feels like a cat walking across my bed. The cat is outside in the hallway. I know he's not in our room, but you can feel what feels like tiny little footsteps. It doesn't bother me. It does, but it freaks her the fuck out. We both have felt it. It's in our room. But it doesn't bother me.
And if you don't let it bother you, it probably won't.
And it won't. It can't. But
Right.
it gets in her head, though. Because she, and I don't think there's any connection. Maybe. I highly doubt it. But she watches nothing but vampires and witches and all this weird shit. You know what I'm saying? And now, after we've been together 20 plus fucking years, this is probably the fourth house that we've lived in. And now, all of a sudden, our not our house, our bedroom is haunted. And I'm like,
You know, I might be a bit of a square in my old age, but I don't watch all these movies that I used to watch about demon possessions and haunted
No.
houses. And
now I do enjoy a good werewolf.
love a monster flick.
You know, love a good monster flick. But
Watched Prey last night, the new Predator.
I started it. I got listen, man. I got exactly 7 minutes into the movie, and my daughter and my wife or girlfriend both like tag team me, like because yesterday was her birthday, my girlfriend's birthday. So we had went out to dinner and got a little tipsy, had a couple shots, and you know what I mean. It was like, come in here and watch this movie with me. I'm like, all right. Go in there, and it was Lightyear, and I'm like, fuck. I haven't been really wanting to watch it just because it's not something that I really was like waiting for it to come out.
It told you what you
But-
already knew.
Yeah.
You know
So,
what
but
you
now
already knew? That one little Mohican girl is meaner than an entire group of Canadian Special Forces.
Prey. Oh, Prey is the new Predator.
Yeah,
Okay. I started watching it last night,
so good.
and I got 7 minutes into it, and I got hooked into watching Lightyear. So tonight is a Prey night, and tomorrow morning is golf. So I'm getting up early to go hit a white ball and go chase it and do it again.
It's a perfectly good walk run by a little white ball.
And sometimes it's red or yellow. It depends on what's on sale. Don't get it twisted.
Right. Right. What's your handicap? My budget.
Yeah. That's for real when it comes to my fishing stuff. There's so much stuff I want that's so expensive. And then I look at the stuff I got and I'm like, dude, I got like $400 worth of plastic worms. I could probably melt it down and create a bumper for a car. You know what I mean?
You can melt it down and make fresh plastic worms.
Yeah, but they're already plastic worms. That seems very labor intensive to get the same outcome that I already have.
I want to get into fly fishing, which means I have to tie my own flies.
Yeah, and you know what that means? You can't like wear glasses because the flies are smaller than your thumbnail. You know, like, dude, I tried fly fishing and I got it, pretty down pat where I could sling that thing, but man, just if you say the word fly fishing, it cost $100 at Cabela's. It's like you're not even allowed to say that fucking word.
I got on Amazon you get a fly tying kit for like $50. Now,
Does that include the magnifying glass? Because that's what
yeah,
I
a
need.
magnifying glass is hooked to it.
Yeah, that's the only way it works for me because I can't hardly see to tie on my baits.
And I like
And I got
to
some
hike, so,
big ones.
I'll grab random things.
You know what? I kind of want to get into that this winter or this spring or this fall. Go out on a couple day or two hikes, but I don't know if I'm gonna be up to that
Well,
right away. So,
I don't make plan. I give extra day on my hikes. I don't do 14 miles a day. I do about 8 to 10.
yeah, but you're you're kind of handicapped now because you have all the way until next summer before you got any PTO built up to take time off, right? Does your company do a PTO system, or is it just you're here, you get a year, or you get a week, you get the like?
That might kick in after 90 days. I don't know yet.
Because my company, after 90 days, I started earning PTO.
If I can get, if I got to go out bow hunting, backpacking at the same time on my 2 days off next year, I'll get it in.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get it in.
Yep.
So, you know what? Do you want to hear the most frightening thing on the internet?
Are you sure? Is this just something that you just made up? Or is there an actual poll that says this is pretty eerie? Or
all right, I'll tell you what. I'll just play it.
All right.
This is C-SPAN.
C-SPAN. C-SPAN is kind of creepy. What they call news, but
wait till I show you the Podesta tape one day.
Nope, it's on your computer. That's plenty loud enough. YouTube usually just turns the volume off at first.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Here we go.
It's going to be loud.
Ready?
Yep. It's going to be very loud.
Congress shall now vote for approval of H.R. 8791, the Homeland Terrorism Preparedness Bill. Said bill requests emergency response funding up to and including, this section is classified, dollars to prepare for a national level terrorist attack and or attack from
classified.
I've
heard this
funding
before.
for first responder personnel and vehicles would be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by
classified.
Funding shall commence in conjunction with the first attack on
classified
or the first large-scale outbreak of classified. Depending on which comes first. Civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of classified, including irradiated classified.
Every time he says classified, I want to know what he's talking about. That much
classified, and or all of the above.
Flesh-eating what?
Flesh-eating classified? You should finish that sentence.
Air Force units may
also. Is this a virus? Is this a zombie? Is it an alien?
I feel like we should all know what.
I just moved on the food chain. What the hell you mean classified?
I feel like I kind of like my position at the top of the food chain. Now, all of a sudden, that's being threatened by a flesh-eating classified. Like, what the fuck is that?
Classified body disposal
actions. He said that 37 times already.
Classified body disposal actions.
Classified protected birthing centers. A new Bill of Rights shall be drafted and approved by classified. Having now reviewed the bill, I ask you to please cast your votes.
For what? Classified.
So there's going to be a new Bill of Rights after the flesh-eating classified.
What the? That was the most classified thing I've ever seen in my life. Wow. Wow, that's almost that's almost like watching Nancy Pelosi give a speech with her big eyebrows. Like, I just can't help but laugh at her. Like, I'm just like, please keep her out of it.
That's what makes Taiwan. I'm not going to do it. Like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. No, this is supposed to be the anti-politics.
No politics.
Yep.
Let's talk about moving things with sound.
Oh yeah, they've been doing this. They use like this for crowd dispersion and shit. And
have you ever watched resonance sand on a vibration plate?
And
this is loud.
Give me 1 second here. Where was that?
I gotta get this on pause immediately.
Was it in Jerusalem where people were getting hit with a
freaking
sound weapon and it was making headaches or some shit?
Yeah.
Was that Jerusalem, or they were directly targeting our embassy? Maybe.
No, it's on the wall, and it's a high pitched sound, and they can direct it directly onto a
specific target. Right.
Yeah. You can't hold on
to
your
truck
rifle and hold your ears at the same time.
Yeah, it's on a truck too. I think.
Has it advanced to the point of pulsation to a dangerous level.
Probably. What we didn't I just tell you like 5 minutes ago? If they got it, they've had it for years.
Yeah.
They've perfected this. Of course.
I mean, this is kind of a
Of course. Future weapons are going to be based on sound and waves and magnets and...
This is just running sound through a plate and changing the vibration.
Right.
And it changes these patterns automatically. You talk about, you look at the universe and you get philosophy. I see this right here and I get philosophy.
Right. It's insane. Look, you can literally make, and this is say those little ball bearings or whatever those are just represent people.
It's salt. It's salt.
Oh, it's salt.
Yeah.
They need to caption that so I can tell what decibel they're at or what's.
There's more of them.
That's freaking crazy. Look at that shit. 1033.
Doesn't that sound like the noise your TV used to make when you were a kid?
Look at this. Look at that shit. 1332. You can literally make people do whatever the fuck you want with noise like that. It's going to get to the point here in a minute where you're not even going to be able to hear it.
Yeah, I tend to keep turning it down as it goes too. You see how it changes.
That's crazy. And none of those patterns are the same.
No, they completely change.
Everyone's completely different the higher the frequency gets. And the more salt he adds, the bigger the lines get. And the more differing formations. Look at that. That's cool as shit.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Fuck yeah.
Using sound to levitate.
Wow. Now that's how you get shit to fly.
They have not designed anything to advance us as a society in almost 100 years, but have the technology to do amazing, wondrous things.
Yeah. And they won't apply it to civilian. Everything's applied to weapons, and it's fucking upsetting.
This system is not designed for us to advance.
No. We have to come to some... There has to be some epic ending from this segment to the next.
And I mean, I feel like we need a future where spirituality, religion, spirituality, whatever you want, meets technology.
See that shit?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sound is yeah. I fell down this rabbit hole one day. We could do a whole day on this.
Right? Oh hell yeah! Dink, dink.
Yeah. The possibilities.
Yeah.
Of this world and the way science really works. Science is settled. No, science never settles.
No, it never.
The questioning of science is what makes scientists.
It's supposed to be used to benefit mankind.
It's not.
And it hasn't been.
The last thing they gave us was the cell phone. And since then, that's all we've cared about.
And even then, is that really based off of science, or is that technology?
That's just technology to appease us.
Right.
Really.
It's not really science.
It's I've went off on the rant a few times since I've had kids that the cell phone teaches too much instant gratification.
That's true. There's no more working for it, and that's true.
Yeah, you want to talk about holograms?
Yeah, holograms might be a quick teaser for the next episode if you want.
Right.
You got something readily available that you
can...
yeah,
dude. I felt, when there's this whole conspiracy theory.
Talk to me, Goose.
There's this whole conspiracy theory where they want to fake an alien invasion. But you know what? We're down to trying to... I'm going to say one political thing. I'm sorry. We've already went down the rabbit hole of trying to charge a former president with treason and espionage. So, attempting to fake an alien invasion at this point. Whatever.
Right, but,
But have you seen what China can do with a hologram?
You know what? think I did see something like this.
Get past the commercial here.
Yeah, you know.
Here we go.
Yes, I have seen this. In the sky. Yes, this is awesome. Whales swimming in the sky.
Tell me they couldn't make it look like there was some big gigantic thing floating in the sky, and then have little flying saucers flying around it.
And then have the army blow up the whole city chasing this hologram. Sure.
That oddly sounds like
Dude, they have a TikTok filter that can depict Godzilla over your house, or whatever picture you take it in.
Right.
It can depict
right.
Godzilla.
That's simple. That's TikTok.
That's the very basic idea of what a hologram is. You're depicting something that's over an area that's not really there. But if TikTok can do it, can you imagine what these governments... Dude, you could use that as your what's it called? Your false flag operations? To use it as a reason. Holy shit, that dude just got right on a kayak. He's right on top of a whale.
To get that turn.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's what you're talking about until he knocks you in the air with his tail.
So, Beijing, China didn't use... I think this was actually 2021. No, it's 2022. They didn't use fireworks this year. They didn't use drone. They used hologram technology. It's not until you see the satellite. This is all hologram. They could fake the return of Jesus.
Bro, that's kind of like one of those. Remember in Independence Day when everybody was bucking against the government and having like welcoming parties?
Yeah.
And they used the welcoming parties to zap hundreds of people at one time.
Right.
Like, who wouldn't flock to see this? And then, boom, you're all dead right there. It just sent... Oh, yeah. Let's go to space. Deuces.
Go to space here, they just... Again, imagine the military applications of this.
Right. Wow. Yeah. But even better yet, imagine the civilian capabilities of this.
Yeah.
You remember watching the Star Trek and they would go to the hologram rooms and reenact scenes from the history? Dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure some people would use it for gruesome shit.
Our
but,
great
you know.
grandkids might see a civilian version. That was the greatest thing about the Beijing Olympics.
Take your mind off the oppression for just a minute. That's pretty sweet, though, for a hologram.
It says brought to you by
It probably says fuck,
Yoshito,
probably says
the
fuck
company
USA.
that makes your suicide nets.
Quality suicide nets.
Keeping you safe at work.
Heck yeah. So what you want to go over next week?
Talk about Tartaria. The Tartarian Empire.
I'm going to dispel that the way I think it is. Yeah, and the closer we get to midterms, I definitely want to do like
after Tuesday.
maybe a live show.
Yeah,
We're not video capable yet, but we could watch some stuff and live react and see, you know what I mean? That would be kind of cool.
I want to find a way to connect.
But
if I can connect us on Zoom, we can put picture in a picture.
Yeah, but I don't think a Zoom podcast would really have that same effect.
No, it wouldn't. But it would have.
I want to do
both of
these.
us.
You know what I mean?
It would have our faces.
Oh, so you mean? Oh, okay. Well,
We're
not
here.
Yeah, but we're not video capable yet, anyway. So
No.
we wouldn't we wouldn't really need all that yet.
No,
We just have a TV. You got cable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just sit here and just flip through the different news article, and watch the
Right.
election tally.
Oh wow.
Because it'll be a Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
So by the time you get off work, all these counts should be coming in, and at 8, 9 o'clock when you get off work.
I cannot wait to hear.
Because it'll be an off day for me. I'm off on Tuesdays, and then I'm off on Wednesday, so I could stay for till 11, 12 o'clock at night, and we could do a live show on election night. That'd be sweet.
Good times.
Hell yeah.
You had a good time talking about aliens and Admiral Byrd, and
Yeah, we're here for a good time, not a long time.
not a long time. Sometimes it feels like it.
Yeah, it does.
No, man.
Feels like a long time in between paydays.
It really does. It really does. But anyway, I had a good time.
Yep,
Another
I did
good
as well.
podcast.
I did as
See
well.
you next week. Until then, I'm Justin Keys,
And I'm John Burgess.
and this is the Middle of the Road.
Like, share, subscribe.